My name is Isaiah Thompson. This is my final project. Today I will be talking about the ancient primary source titled Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. What is the source? The source is the personal journal of the great Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius of the 2nd century AD. Marcus was the only Roman emperor who was also a philosopher. According to the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, Marcus's reputation as a philosopher rests upon one work, the Meditations. The source, while written by a Roman, was written in Greek rather than in Latin because, as a philosopher, Marcus believed that he should continue the use of the language of philosophy whenever he wrote a philosophical writing. Who produced the source? Marcus Aurelius was born in 121 AD under the name Marcus Annius Verus. He lost his parents at an early age and was adopted for a short period by his grandfather, who had him educated under the supervision of Emperor Hadrian. During his education, Marcus took on a liking for philosophy, especially Stoic philosophy. In 138 AD, at the age of 16, Marcus was adopted again, this time by Antoninus Pius, the emperor of Rome at the time. His name was then changed to Marcus Antoninus Aurelius, and he succeeded the role of emperor in 161 AD at the age of 40, and ruled alongside his adoptive brother Lucius until 169 AD. He then ruled Rome alone until his death in 180 AD. After his death, his only living heir, his natural son Commodus, succeeded to the throne. Sadly, under his son's poor leadership, Marcus's legacy fizzled out entirely. When and where was the source produced? Marcus wrote the source over the course of his life as emperor. According to the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, the Meditations were probably written while Marcus was on campaign in Central Europe, circa AD 171 to 175. Other sources claim its composition began earlier, around 167 AD. Why was the source created? Never intended for publication, Meditations was originally a personal journal, which Marcus wrote as a way of daily discipline. Journaling is a part of the Stoics' exercises, teaching one to remember death, unravel the tough issues of life, and reflect on the things of the world around them. Marcus used this journal to remind himself of what he knew, why he knew it, and how he knew it was true. What is the main idea of the source? From my reading, I believe that the main idea of the source can be broken down into three major parts. The first being to answer tough questions. Marcus wrote, "You know from experience that in all your wanderings you have nowhere found the good life, not in logic, not in wealth, not in glory, not in indulgence, nowhere. Where then is it to be found?" Second, he wrote to reflect on and to accept the way things are. Marcus wrote to himself, saying, "How all things quickly vanish, our bodies themselves lost in the physical world, the memories of them lost in time." Finally, Marcus wrote to remind himself of the shortness of life and the importance of spending the time that we have well. Marcus reminded himself that there is a limit circumscribed to your time. If you do not use it to clear away your clouds, it will be gone, and you will be gone, and the opportunity will not return. What is the source's historical significance? Personally, I believe that the most significant part of the source is the representation of the discipline necessary to rule an empire effectively. Marcus struggled in his life, as emperor, as father, husband, son, friend, and warrior, but he found a way to make life work through philosophy, and this source shows us how he did that. Today, we can take his life principles to heart and try to apply them to our lives. Marcus's philosophy has inspired intellectuals, philosophers, self-starters, entrepreneurs, and even emperors for hundreds of years. What started out as a personal journal has now become a guidebook to handling the difficulties of life. That concludes my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something new today. Thank you for listening.